What up, y'all? You know who it is, your boy Kiss. Right now, you checking out the 3-point conversion.
So today will be a normal practice and we take off tonight. And everyone's healthy. And obviously really excited. Being a regional champion is unbelievable. And that's what makes the event on Saturday for all four teams it's the most amazing day in college basketball to bring four champions together and then play for another championship. So we're very excited about being a part of that and very honored and open for questions.
Mike, are you surprised this has never happened before with you and Carolina playing each other?
Yeah, I think what they, probably, but I haven't thought about it. I haven't looked at it as us against Carolina. I've looked at us, we're playing in the Final Four. So the history of that, I've not paid any attention to. But in answer to your question, I'll pay attention to it right now. You didn't think I was going to dismiss you, I think. Usually we've been high seeds if we're in, and if you're in a high seed, they've tried to put conference teams in where you wouldn't need until the end. And so the closest we came was in 91, really, where we were both in the Final Four, and Kansas and Carolina played the game before we played Vegas, or else either we both were going to be eliminated, one, or you had a chance to play for the national championship. So that was the close. Then it would have been for everything. That would have been something. But but yeah, I guess it just works out that way.
Is there like a significance for the sport overall to have both you guys on that?
I think significant that four of these teams that have been for the winningest teams in college basketball to be under one roof, and the team and the program that Jay has had in Villanova, which is in the last 5-6 years has been the leader, so to speak, in accomplishment. So that's an amazing thing. The way this tournament has gone too, it's amazing that that's happened.
Mike, after the Arkansas game, you used the expression that the team had crossed the
Yeah.
bridge. That's not an expression you use much over
I use it not with you or with people, but
Well, you
I
use it
have
with
actually
verbs.
used it my whole life.
You use it with verb, so we appreciate that.
Verve is more of a public
Yeah.
sentiment that I've shared. The crossing of the bridge is private. I've let you in.
But can you can you elaborate a little bit on what
Well,
you mean?
like I call it, in coaching or in teaching, let's just say in teaching, you get a chance to help an individual or a group cross the bridge of limits. And that's the whole purpose for education and whatever is to change limits and increase what a person is capable of doing. And as a teacher, if you help that person or team go through and develop a new limit, I call it crossing a bridge. And it's the best thing that a teacher can do. And it's why we should celebrate teachers in our country. We get paid a lot as coaches and whatever, but there are so many folks out there who the reason they do this is to cross those bridges with kids, and especially in amateur athletics, you wouldn't say that you're crossing a bridge with a pro team. They've crossed a lot of bridges, and but you get a chance to do that with the team. I mean, what Hubert's done in his first year to get his team to do that is magnificent. And same thing for our guys. It's unbelievable. And we should take joy in that. And then now there's another one, and this one leads to the national championship.
Coach, you mentioned after the end of the regular season, new season, fresh start. Since then, the guard play has been, over the top from all the guys, Jeremy, Wendell, AJ, and all of them. How have you seen them sort of mature in real time and, be able to get to the point where they're making some of the plays they make?
Well, we wouldn't have won. I don't know what are we 32? So we're 32. So we won a lot of games. Yeah, we won a lot of games and won the league before we played poorly for 2 weeks. And so they have done that. What happened during that time, we played really good teams who played well against us, and we didn't practice to the level just because we had come off of so many 8 out of 11 road games and stuff like that. And that hurt us. Our approach hurt us. And you went back to the other side of the bridge and your habits that weren't gonna do very well. So that period of time from the loss to Virginia Tech to playing Cal State Fullerton, we had great practices and we're healthy. So we got better. And then we had a heck of a region, and so we were in 4 really tough games against teams that were really good defensively and physical, and they made us better. We had to be better in order to beat them. So it's we're playing better than we did before that wall, but I think lessons that we learned from those mistakes, and then the competition. You get better if you beat really good competition, and that's what's happened for our team. Thank goodness.
What made those practices great? After
The fact, one, that we could practice, and like you're not worried about, are we too tired? Are we, when we only have a day in between games, we gotta, all coaches do this during the season, depending on their time. You compensate. There's only so much physically that you can do, and we needed to get back to having good physical hard practices, and so we had the time to do that, and I think it helped us to have a Friday, Sunday, because that got us an extra practice day. Now it's squeezed in there where we, then we had to fly across the country, and we ended up playing 4 games in 9 days, but we were prepared before those 9 days to play better basketball.
What are some of the challenges of facing the team 3 times in the season? And have there been any discussions, especially with some of the younger players, about the emotional aspect of this matchup?
Yeah, we really haven't discussed anything with our team except travel plans yesterday. It was like, don't get academics. You missed a lot of school, meet with your teachers, pack tonight, and we'll start our preparation today for North Carolina. And what was the first part? Yeah.
Sure. Strategically, what are some of the challenges?
Yeah, the 3 game. Now, I think, I really think each of us was a different team. We were different when we played them there, and so were they. And then when we played them here, they were, they had developed into an outstanding team, and we weren't at that time. And so to me, the thing is, I think we're going to have 2 really good teams play against one another. Whereas the last 2 games, we were better than them at that point, and they were better than us at the other point. And now we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I really don't draw anything from that much from those games. I draw more from I've been watching them, not against us, but against other teams, because they're really playing well.
Mike, you said after the game here against Carolina, season's not over, all right?
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think.
Yeah,
I think that was a no-brainer, right?
But your players mentally to be able to kind of embrace what you're talking about, not just the hard practices, but there's a mental element to that too.
Sure.
How they responded during the tournament.
Yeah, well, and then you were going into a juncture for a short ACC tournament season, and then you were going to have another one. And so win or lose, the season wasn't over, and but it was over for the regular season. and then you have to move on. And it took us a little bit to get back to the level that we're at. We still didn't play that well in the ACC tournament, and but then we played very well in the NCAA tournament. I'm sorry.
There was a segment in about mid-February where it looked like Paolo, I don't want to say he was playing bad, but he wasn't playing as efficient as he had been. Was it crossing a bridge to get him?
No, and we can use that crossing a bridge. Let's put that with verb on right here, and we'll bring it out, maybe some other time. But no, I think it's being a human being, being a freshman, you're going to have, periods where you're really playing well, and then where you're not playing as well. It's a long season, and especially when you're a freshman, that's the first time you've ever, they don't even come close to doing anything like that in high school. And by the way, they didn't do high school his senior year. So again, those are, you learn from those experiences. And then what happens when you're not playing as well is to find out why and then make corrections. But I wouldn't say he ever played bad.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying me. You can say whatever, you're welcome to use verb or crossing the bridge or whatever. I'm just saying, these are young guys. Yeah, I have the youngest team I've ever had. So they're gonna, pretty much they've been really good, but at times they haven't been as good. But they've been really good lately. Yeah.
What do you notice in Caleb Love in games like against UCLA when he can really go off versus other games this season where he's really struggled from the field? What makes him a player that's capable of that?
What makes him a player is he's really good. And he's not going to let a poor shooting performance in a half or in a game affect him, because he has belief in himself. And he also has the belief of his coaching staff. You don't see them telling him, don't shoot. Yeah, go. And his teammates. So, that's why that's one of the reasons they're a good team, is because they have belief in one another, whether it's going great or not as great. The next play might be great. And that's how you get to the Final Four.
You mentioned in San Francisco, Mark's defensive rebounding being
Yeah.
so key. And he's improved obviously as a defender since he got here, but is there anything that he's doing different technically to put him in more advantageous spots for the defensive rebounding? Is it effort? What do you sort of see as his growth in that?
Yeah, I just think his maturity, and he has really increased his lateral movement, his ability to guard side to side. And as a result, he's able to get to balls better. Where, length doesn't necessarily get you to a ball. Lateral movement does. And so he's been able to move his feet really well. Heck, against Arkansas, those 3 offensive rebounds in full court, the Euro step, it shows just how much he has improved in that regard. And it equates on the defensive end.
Coach, your last press conference, you said it wasn't over yet. And it could have been your last press conference, but here you are.
No, my last press conference was in San Francisco.
Okay, well, the last one here, the
All
last
right,
one here.
so I've
The
got
last
so
one
many
here.
laughs.
I got you. No, well, that's what I want to ask you about. Does this feel like a long goodbye in a way?
No, everyone has said, the reason the plan that we've had was for continuity of our program, not to get gifts. And it's worked. We have great continuity in our program with John taking over. What's happened in recruiting, not just this year, for next season, but for the following year. We've had great continuity. And in order to do that, I stayed on the job and I still wanted to coach. So this wasn't about getting recognized, although that's what you get. That's what you get if you live in this neighborhood. And so I've never looked at it as last. I've looked at it as, I look at our program as a continuity. And it's not going to come to an end whenever the last game I coach is done. It will continue, and it will continue better because of the plan that was put in place, which was an excellent plan.
Mike, are there any lessons to take from all the hype, the extracurricular stuff around the Carolina game here that you can apply to being on the stage in New Orleans?
Probably. I'm trying not, and I don't want to use that game. This isn't, you can't go into the Final Four just thinking rivalry, payback, or any of those things. You got to go in like, we want to win a championship. You know, this is who we are now. This is whoever we would play. And then we got to beat them. And then we got to beat someone else. And if you go in with those other two things, there's a good chance you're not going to win. But if you did, you probably won't win on Monday. It's got to be looked at as you're playing for. We got 4 teams playing for a national championship, and that's how I'm looking at it. And I know there's going to be, you know, on TV, radio, a Duke guy, a Carolina guy, and they're going to be talking stupid stuff to one another, and that means nothing. But that's what sport for fans is about. It's not it's not for coaches, and it's not for players. We let's just stick to what we're doing.
Speaking of that, do you feel like you and Hubert have worked out all the stuff that happened at the end of the last game?
I never even worked anything out, you know, like
you don't talk about it like.
I didn't know about it till 2 days later, and then by that time, everyone said it was okay. Well, yeah, Chuck Daly, God bless him, was one of the great guys, and he gave me an opportunity and PJ to be assistants with Lenny Wilkins on the Dream Team. And I can remember one of our first meetings, and PJ and I come in with notebooks and whatever. He said, cool. And what do you mean, Coach? He said, you two guys, you need to embrace a word for the rest. And you can embrace a bunch of words, but the one word I want you to embrace is ignore. Do not pay attention to everything. You know, like the ability to ignore noise is a big thing. And I try to do that. So when that happened, as long as it was done, it's done. Like, why? Well, let's talk about that some more. Well, why are we doing that? It's useless. I mean, yeah, we crossed that bridge. All right. And, I'm sorry. That's the last. That was too easy. So it was a layup. I know it's Mike. Anyway, I should be docked a few points for that one. But yeah, Kip, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to speak. From a purely preparation standpoint, X's and O's, advantage or disadvantage, you know the other team really well. It's from your confidence.
No, personnel wise, I think it's an advantage equal. You know, so it is. You know, one of the things with the NCAA tournament, when you play the second game, you win on Thursday or Friday, and you play Saturday or Sunday, whichever weekend it is, including this one, except it's Saturday, Monday. Learning personnel quickly in the second game is sometimes a challenge, you know, for the players to be instinctive. Whether we played them, and we have, and they've played us, you have 4 or 5 days to learn personnel. And so what we have to do is learn who they are now, not who they were here, or definitely who they were in Chapel Hill.
Coach, the moment against Texas Tech in the timeout where everybody slapped the floor in unison, that seemed to be a moment for you guys. What was said, and why do you think it resonated so deeply?
Well, because I told them to slap the floor before they went out, and then they did that on their own. And it was more of a quiet, like, we need to stop. And the timeouts are so long, you know, and so it was like, okay, we got 15 more seconds. Let's slap the floor. But then when they did it out on the court, that was cool, because it's a kind of a unifying thing. They probably scored against us then, but I don't even know what the hell happened. But we were still in the lead. I knew that. But things like that, you know, with having a team for 1 year, teaching culture and that is very, very difficult. You can never get to the depth that you would have when John and Nolan were here. You know, even the 2015 team, because you had Emil, Marshall, Matt, Quinn, Cook, to teach them a little bit. They have really nobody to teach them that. So they're, you know, they've been really an outstanding group because they've tried to learn along the way. And I think they have.
You mentioned the culture and having a young team, but has there ever been a season in your memory that had so many good teams? The second round games, I mean, so many older players, teams, you know, guys coming back, the transfer portal. That's a lot of good teams.
Well, it's the oldest that college basketball has ever been. And so as a result of that, it's going to be tougher to win. I mean, I think Battier played the most games here, 130 something. We're playing against guys that have played 160 games. Sometimes 3 of them are on the other team. That's a lot. And that's what's happened. That's why we shouldn't be shocked at anything that's happened in the tournament, because the age differential is dramatic. You know, for us, it's been dramatic especially in the last two. By Texas Tech, it was really dramatic. And boy, are they good? They're really good. He's such a good coach. I mean, not that the other guys aren't, but that was a big time game for us. Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned the depth with Nolan and John when they had their team.
Yeah.
Is there any value in them being able to help the guards maybe get to that point, or at least understanding their relative importance this month?
Yeah, I think the fact that, you know, for years now, we've had our former players and captains on the team have helped us, whether we've had kids for 4 years or 3 or 1. And my staff's terrific. And so they're like, in some respects, big brothers to these guys. And that doesn't mean they're not hard on them, because big brothers can be very hard, but they can relate to them really well. And then I have to do it also. But it really depends a great deal on my staff.
We're going to take a couple questions on Zoom. Coach, we'll start with David Teal.
Mike, you mentioned earlier succession and continuity. Prepare the succession plan and also yourself for this season. Were there leadership examples in sports, business, the military that you leaned on and kind of thought, okay, I can use that kind of as a model?
Well, I actually went to West Point, was an Army officer. So succession is part of leadership, but succession in the military means you usually have a command anywhere from a year to 2 years. And the thing is to leave your unit in better position than you inherited, and to help your successor know as much as possible. Greg Popovich and I did that with the US team. We got to be really close friends, and we spent time before I stopped coaching, and then initially when he started coaching, and we still interact. And however, usually your command doesn't last 42 years. And it has to be looked at a little bit like in business. Do you like the culture that you have? Do you like how it's adapted along the way? Can you continue to do that adaptation with somebody new? And so whether it was John, it worked out that, you know, Vince Price chose John, or someone else, they had to be here all year in order to have this level of continuity. And a huge thing is recruiting. A big thing is recruiting. But the other thing is, like in John's case, he and I for this whole year. We've had a lot of different talks. He's better prepared to be the head coach after going through this year. And everyone around him has accepted him at a high level. And so it'll be smooth. It'll be next week. No matter what, it'll be next week. And it'll be smooth, because it's been done that way and because he's really good. He's not good. He's like really, really good.
Josh Graham.
I wanted to talk about the succession plan as well, because there's a saying that you'd never want to be the guy that follows the guy. I wonder, when you see what Hubert was able to do, I wonder what you think about Hubert being able to step in his first year and get to this point, and how that affects your optimism about how seamless this succession can be.
Well, in some respects, it was similar in that Hubert's been on the staff for a long time. I don't know the exact number of years he played there. Really good pro player and a good guy. I mean, I've known his wife since she's a little girl. Her father and I were teammates at West Point, Bobby Siegel, and so they've had continuity and culture, because Hubert plays a different style than Roy's teams did, but the culture is the same. The pride of being a Carolina player is there, and Hubert, he was on the staff. I mean, that's his life. So for him to get that across his unit, it's great to see, but he has it to get across to his team. So in that respect, it's similar. It's just that the timing is different.
All right, last question, go to Pat 40.
Mike, I was reading a Sports Illustrated story from the 1990s in which you said if Duke and Carolina played in the championship game, in this area, people-wise, if one of us beat the other in the championship game, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It would be horrible. This isn't quite the championship game, but it's as close as you can get. Do you still feel that way, or you feel differently?
Well, who wrote the article?
Alexander Wolf. Sketchy, I know.
No, he's that's pretty damn good. Yeah. Well, it's a lot younger, so I probably have learned from my mistakes in that regard. I think the area, no matter what, will still go on in some respects, but the fan bases are different, and with the proximity, it's so it evokes things that can't be done in other areas. So go at it, but I'm not going to be a part of it, and no matter what happens, I'm not going to be a part of it. And just like I've tried to be for the whole time I've lived here, so we've always been the minority here so I guess that's where my Polish thing comes. That helps me a little bit in that regard.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.